Yeah, before starting OOPS concepts, we have to know some fundamentals like what is class, what is object, how can we create an object, then constructor overloading, then what is method, what is the functionality of a method, then we have modifiers, then method overloading, method overriding. First, we have to know all these basic fundamentals before starting the OOPS concepts. Okay. First of all, do you guys know about what is class and what is an object? If you guys know, just tell me. What is class and what is an object? How can we create an object? Okay, let me just explain. Class is nothing but it is a template, okay, for creating an objects or blueprint for objects. Okay, to create an object, class acts like blueprint or a blueprint or template for creating an objects. Okay, and class is a combination of data members and yeah, it is a template or blueprint for creating an objects. To create an object, class acts like a blueprint, that's it. Okay, and class is a combination of both data members and methods. It consists of both data members and methods. And as you know, in Java, class is a non-primitive data type and user defined data type, because we are creating a class, right? So it is called as user defined data type or non-primitive data type. Okay, this is about class. Okay, class is nothing but it is a blueprint for creating an object. Okay, like think of an example, like if you want to build an house, first you go to an will go to like architect and he will give a plan. Okay, that plan is like a plan acts like class. Okay, using that plan you can create buildings, right? You can create n number of buildings, right? Like that, class is a blueprint. Okay, using that we can create n number of objects. Okay, it is just like a blueprint or template for creating an object. Okay, like one more example, like I will create a one laptop class. Okay, in that we can declare uh, properties like laptop as color, size, weight, price. Okay, these are data members. And laptops actions are, in laptop we can watch movies, code, playing games, open we can open the laptop, we can close the laptop, browse, edit. So these are all methods or actions. Okay, as I told, class is a combination of both data members and methods, right? By creating this laptop class we can create n number of objects. Using that class we can create n number of objects. Okay, this is an example. um, and this is about class. Okay, object is an real world entity, okay, or instance of class. With class we are creating an object, right? So we can say object is instance of class. Okay, and it is also a combination of data members and methods. Okay, I will explain using a code. First, I will explain theoretically. Then how can we create a class? Sorry, object. How can we create an object? First, for class, we have to create an object, right? So first we have to declare a class name, then reference variable, and we have to use new keyword. To create an object, we have to use new keyword, then class name, then constructor. Okay, that that constructor. Okay, this is how we can create a constructor. Every time if we use a new keyword, a new object will be created and it will be stored in the heap memory area. Okay, every time you remember this, every time you use a new keyword, a new object will be created and it will be, and that instance will be stored in the heap memory area. Okay, every time when the object is created, it will be stored in the heap memory area. Okay, now this is about class and object. Okay, class is nothing but it is a blueprint or template for creating an object, and it consists of both data members and methods. And we all know in Java, class is a non-primitive data type. Okay, this is about class. And object is instance of class. Okay, from class we are creating an object, right? So object is instance of class, and it is also combination of both data members and methods. Okay, now I will give an example so that you can understand easily. See here I'm created a class. Okay, in that I will declare one data member. Okay, this is a data member. Okay, I've created a string name which is a data member. Okay, and as I told, class is a combination of both data members and method, right? So I'm creating one data member with the name of string name, and I will create one method. Okay, and I'm implementing here. See, I'm created one data member and one method. Method is nothing but action. Data member is field. Okay, see I'm created a class dog. In that I'm created one data member with string name, and I've created one method with the name of bark. Okay, and see I'm created a class here. So using this we can create an object. Okay, how can we create an object? I told earlier, first class name, then one reference name equal to new keyword. Okay, every time we use a new keyword, a new object will be created. Okay, and class name constructor. Okay, these brackets are now called as constructor. Okay, this is how we can create an object. Okay, here it is creation of creating an object of dog class. Here I am creating an object of dog class. For dog I am creating an object here. Okay, now using that reference name I'm assigning data member. For data member I'm assigning a value. Okay, see I'm like using that object reference name, I'm assigning a value to name. Okay, and if I have to run that, okay, these string name and bark method both are non-static data members. Okay, so those non-static members, if we have to call in the static. Okay, this is static method, right? If we have to call non-static methods in the static method, first object creation is compulsory, and to call those data member and method we have to use the reference name and we have to call them. Okay, so I'm in the 18th line, so I'm using that reference name and I'm calling that data member. Okay, and also to call the method we have to use the reference name, then that method. Okay, these string name and bark method both are non non-static members. So to call those non-static members in static method we have to create an object, and using that reference name we have to call the data member and method. Okay, later I will explain that static members, how to call static members and non-static members in static method as well as in non-static methods. Later I will explain this. For this example, you just okay, this is how we can create a class, and for the class I'm creating an object and I'm assigning a value, and I'm printing that, sorry, I'm that calling that method. Okay, if I run this, see, first I'm assigned a value to that member, and I'm printing here in the 19th line, and in the 20th 21st line I'm calling that method. Okay, as you all know, program will starts here. JVM starts from main method, and it will go to the 16th line. I will check for in the 16th line we are creating a dog object. Okay, then in the 18th line we are assigning a value to a name, and in the 19th line we are printing that. Okay, and in the 22nd line we are calling that method. Okay, this is how the program runs. Okay, this is how we can create a class, and using that class we can create an object. Okay, class is nothing but blueprint. Okay, for using this we can create n number of, here class dog is there. Now using that class we can create n number of objects, and we can assign any value, and we can print that method. Okay, this is about class and object. Okay, we can create a object using class name and one reference name equal to new keyword. We have to use new keyword to create an object. We have to use new keyword, then class name constructor. Okay, this is about class and object. Okay, if you have any doubt you can ask me. Just remember, class is nothing but a blueprint, okay, or template for creating an object. Okay, object is nothing but instance of class. From class we are creating an object. Okay, object is real thing which is created from blueprint. Okay, using blueprint we create a real thing. Okay, this is about class and object. If you have any doubt you can just ask me, or else we can go to next topic called constructor. Guys, do you understand what is class and what is an object, how to create an object? Guys, respond. If you have no doubt you can just go to next topic, which is constructor. Okay, do you guys know about constructor? What is constructor? What is the functionality of a constructor? Okay, constructor is nothing but a special method, okay, which is also a special method used to create an object. Okay, constructor is also used to create an object. Okay, and another main method of an constructor is, it is used to initialize data members. Okay, these are the 2 points you have to remember. Okay, constructor is nothing but it is a special method which is used to create an object.
Sir, are you sharing the
Sorry, I'm not
screen, sir?
sorry guys, I just forgot to share the screen. Now you are telling first, just have to tell me, inform me right before, right? Yeah, okay. Constructor is nothing but it is a special method which is used to create an object, and also it is used to initialize data members. Okay, these are the 2 points you have to remember. Okay, like whenever you create an object, automatically the constructor will be called. Okay, this is the constructor. This bracket is there now. This is the constructor. Every time you create an object, the constructor is automatically called. Okay, this is a constructor which is used to create an object, as well as it is used to initialize data members. These 2 points you have to remember. Okay, and constructor name should be same as class name. Whatever the class name is there, constructor name has to be same. And one more point, constructor don't have return type. Okay, here void have return sorry method have return type, constructor don't have return type. These 2 points also you have to remember. Okay, constructor name should be same as class name. Whatever the class name is there, constructor name has to be same. Then constructor don't have return type, and constructor is used to create an object as well as it is used to initialize data members. Okay, I will give an example so that you can. And in the constructor we have two types. One is default constructor, means here no arguments is passed. Can you just see, here no arguments is passed, that is default constructor. If you pass any arguments here, which is called as parameterized constructor, which is the second method. Okay, in constructor we have two types. One is default constructor, means no arguments. Another one is parameterized constructor, like it will have some arguments. Okay, I will give an example so that you can understand. For both default constructor and parameterized constructor, I will give an example so that you can understand properly. Still some guys are joining now. Okay, now first I will give an example for default constructor. Okay, here I am creating a data member with the name of string name, and I will create a default constructor. As I told, a constructor name should be same as class name. Okay, so public, and as a and constructor don't have return type. Okay, this is how we can create a constructor. Okay, constructor don't have return type, and whatever the class name is there, according to that we have to use the same name for constructor. Okay, this is how we can create a constructor. And here I am assigning the value for name. I'm, as I told, constructor will do one more thing, like we can initialize the data member set. So this is the data member, right? String name, this is the data member. So I am initializing the data member in the constructor, so I'm giving some name. Okay, and I will create a one method, public void display. Whatever the name I am assigned, in the display value I'm just displaying that, I'm just printing that, that's it. Okay, first I created a data member with string name, and I've created a constructor. Okay, and I'm initializing that data member with some value, and I'm created one display method. In that whatever the data member is initialized, I'm just printing that. Okay, and to call that constructor we have to create an object. So in the main method, I will create an object for student s1 equal to new student this. Okay, as I told, whenever an object is created, automatically this is constructor, right? Automatically the constructor will be called. Okay, when the constructor is called, in this I'm initializing the data member, right? So name will be initialized as Vishwas. Okay, and I'm displaying that in the display. I'm printing that name in the display method. Using the display method I'm printing that name, right? So I will call that method using that reference name. because this string name is because the display method is non-static member. Okay, so to call that non-static member we have to create an object, and using that reference name only we have to call. Okay, now if I run this, see, whenever an object is created, automatically the constructor will be called, and in that constructor we are initializing the data member, and using the display method we are printing that name. Okay, this is how the default constructor will be work. Whenever an object is created, at that time only automatically a constructor will be called. Okay, this is the default constructor, we are not passing any arguments. Okay, this is a default constructor. Okay, do you guys understand about this? What is default constructor, how it will work? A constructor with no parameters, it won't have any parameters. Whenever an object is created, automatically the constructor will be called. Okay, this is about a default constructor. If you guys understand, I will explain the another type, which is parameterized constructor. Guys, to understand, guys respond. If you have understand, I will go to the next topic, which is parameterized constructor, second type. Okay, I will give an example for that so that you can understand. Here I am creating two data members, which is string name and int age. Okay, and I'm creating a parameterized constructor. Parameterized constructor, which means I will pass some arguments inside that constructor. That's it. Okay, how I told, how can we create a constructor using the class name? Okay, this is how we can create a constructor, and in this I'm passing some arguments like string n and int a. Okay, I'm passing two arguments, one is string n, another one is int a. Okay, in that I'm assigning name as n and age as a. Okay, I'm created a constructor with student, a name with student1, and I'm passing two arguments, one is string n, another one is int a. In that constructor I'm assigning name to n and age to a. Okay, this is parameterized constructor. Okay, I'm passing some arguments, or we can call this as user defined constructor also, because we are passing some arguments, right? So we can also call as user defined constructor or parameterized constructor. Okay, and I'm creating one method to print those methods. I'm creating one method, the name of display. Method name can be anything, but to create a to create a constructor, same whatever the class name is there, according to that we have to match that name. To create a constructor name should be same as the class name. Whatever the class name is there, constructor name has to be same, but method name we can give anything, but I am giving here as a display, and I'm printing the name, whatever the name is there, I'm printing that. You all know that plus method, right? Plus method will do concatenation, that's it. And I'm printing the age. Okay, now I will create an object and I will call those methods, and call that constructor and method. Okay, And here first I have to create an object for class student1, some reference name equal to new keyword, then class name, then constructor. What happened to this? Ah, you know why it is giving red lines means in the constructor we have passed so two arguments. Okay, so we have to declare that. If we don't declare that, it will give a red line, because in the constructor we have passed two arguments, we have to declare those. Okay, one is string name, right? I'm giving some name, and int a equal to, we are assigning that age, right? So age is, so I'm giving some age. Okay, so this is the constructor. Okay, in the previous example we have no arguments, so directly we are creating an object and calling that method. Here we are creating a parameterized constructor and we are passing some arguments, right? So we have to declare those, or else it will give a compile time error. Okay, and I'm calling that method. Here I have initialized and I'm calling that method to print in the console. That's it. Here st, sorry. Okay, now if I run this, see, name is Vishwas and age is 23, it is initialized. Okay, as I told, constructor is also used to initialize data member set, so here it is initializing. Whenever the object is created, thus constructor is automatically called and the data members is initialized. Okay, this is how the parameterized constructor will work. Okay, we are passing some arguments and whenever we are creating an object we are initializing that, and using that display method I am printing that in the console. That's it. Okay, this is parameterized constructor. Okay, if you have any doubts about this constructor you can just ask me. Main things you have to remember about constructor is it is also used to create a constructor. Okay, see, using this brackets is nothing but constructor. It is also used to create a constructor, and we can also initialize data members. First you have to remember these 2 points. And to create a constructor, one point we have to remember, sorry, 2 points. One is constructor name has to be same as class name, and constructor don't have return type. Okay, these 4 points you have to remember. And in that constructor we have two types. One is default constructor, another one is parameterized constructor, or we can also call as user defined constructor. Okay, this is about constructor. If you guys have any doubt you can just ask me. Guys, do you have any doubt regarding this class, object and constructor? Guys, do you understand what is class, how to create an object, and what is constructor? And in that we have two types, one is default constructor and parameterized constructor. If you guys understood, I will go to another concept which is constructor overloading. Guys, respond. Up to here, if you have any doubts you can ask me. Guys, after completing the class, please practice, practice, practice. If you practice only you can remember the syntax and you don't have any confusion. If you don't practice it will be confusing. Okay, we'll move to the next topic which is constructor overloading. If, do you guys know about anyone about constructor overloading? What is constructor overloading? Madhusudan, do you have any idea about what is constructor overloading? Madhusudan, are you there? No. not using super keyword. Okay, constructor overloading, it is nothing but the process of creating multiple constructors. Okay, more than one constructors creating with different parameters within the same class. Okay, within the same class, if you want to create a multiple, if you create multiple constructors, okay, with the different parameters, we call that as constructor overloading. Okay, the process of creating multiple constructors with the different parameters in the same class, okay, we call that as constructor overloading. Okay, to achieve that constructor overloading we have some rules. Okay, first, number of arguments. Okay, number of arguments will, like, we will create multiple constructors, like in that constructor we'll pass some arguments, right? So those number of arguments should be different. Okay, then data type of arguments will be there, no, that has to be different. Then order of arguments, in one argument if we create string a and int b, in the second argument uh, we can't create like string a and int b, so we have to change the order. Okay, we have to follow these three rules. One is number of arguments should be different, and second one is data type of argument should be different, and order of argument should be different. We have to follow these three rules to achieve that constructor overloading. Okay, and constructor overloading is an example for compile time polymorphism, because based on the parameters what you give, okay, based on that it will check at compile time only. So it is a compile time, it is an example for compile time polymorphism also. Whenever we talk about that polymorphism, I will explain that clearly. Now just remember, constructor role overloading is an example for compile time polymorphism, and it is the process of creating multiple constructors with different parameters in same class. Okay, we call that as constructor overloading. And to achieve that, we have three rules. One is number of arguments should be different, and data type of arguments should be different, and order of arguments should be different. Okay, first we have to remember this. If you guys have understood, I will give an example for that. Here I have created one class with the name of car. In that I am creating two data members. One is string name, another one is int year. Okay, first I will create like as I told, constructor overloading means having multiple constructors, right? So I will create some multiple constructors. First one is, I will create a default constructor. Like how can we create a constructor using public and class name? So this is how we can create a constructor, right? And I'm assigning the values. Sorry, this is not name, this is brand, car brand. Okay, here assigning some brand name. First I will was unknown, then I'm declaring the year as 0. Okay, I'm initializing that brand name to unknown and year to 0. That's it in the default constructor. I will create another constructor with one argument. I will create a constructor with one argument or parameter. You can also call this as parameter. I will create another constructor with one argument which is string b, and here I am assigning values. I'm assigning that brand equal to b, okay, and year equal to 0. Okay, I'm created here one constructor with one parameter, and I will create another constructor with two arguments. Okay, I'm creating a two argumented constructor. And I'm initializing that brand equal to b and year equal to y. Okay, see, I'm creating one default constructor and one constructor with one parameter and one constructor with two parameters. Okay, this is we can call it as constructor overloading. Okay, see, in the same class I'm creating multiple constructors with different parameters. See, here we are not passing any parameters. Here we are passing one parameter. Here we are passing two parameters. So in the same class we are creating multiple parameters with the sorry, in the same class we are creating multiple constructors with the different parameters, so we can call this as constructor overloading. Now to print that, I will create whatever the data members are initialized. To print that, I will create a one method with the name of display. Okay, and I will print that methods. First I will print brand, then I will print year, and I will print okay. In the main method we'll create an object for those constructors and we will run. First I will create car. First I will create an object for this default constructor. Okay, car c1 equal to new keyword car, and I will create another object for one argumented constructor. Okay, c2 equal to new car, and I will pass one argument, the name of, say I'm printing, say I'm created like here one parameter with the name of string b, right? I'm assigning that b to brand, right? So here I have to mention one brand. I'm giving as Toyota, and I will create another object for this two argumented parameter constructor. Car c3 equal to new car, and here I'm passing two strings, right? So I have to declare those, and I will give another name as Honda brand as a name brand, then in the year 2022, like that. Okay, say I'm creating one first c1 object for this default constructor and c2 object for this one argumented constructor, and c3 for two argumented constructor. Now using that reference name I will call methods display method, then c2 dot display method, then c3 dot display method. Okay, now if I run this, see, based on the parameters, okay, what you given. According to that it will check and it will return. Okay, first I've created this default constructor, right? The default constructor we are giving this brand as unknown and here equal to 0, so it is printing here like this. And later we have created one argumented constructor. I'm passing Toyota as brand. See, in the brand it is like as I told, constructor will initialize data member set, so it initializing brand as Toyota and here as 0. And I am creating a C3 object with the two arguments, so it will match this constructor. And it in this we are initializing both brand and year, right? So it is initialized to Honda and 22. Okay, this is how it will work. Okay, in the compile time only it will check. Okay, first in the this one it will compare the default constructor. Okay, in this it will create it will check whether a constructor with one argument is created or not. If it is created it will compare, it will check and it will run. And here it will check a constructor with the two arguments is present or not. If it is present it will compare and it will print. Okay, this happens during the compile time. Okay, in the compile time only it will compare based on the parameters what you have passed and it will give the output. Okay, this is how constructor overloading works. Okay, say I'm creating multiple constructors with the different parameters in the same class. Okay, this is we called as constructor overloading. To achieve this, as I told, we have three rules. One is number of arguments should be different and data type of argument should be different and order of argument should be different. You have to follow these three rules to achieve constructor overloading. Okay, and this is an example for compile time polymorphism, because whatever the whatever the parameters you passed, according to that it will match at the compile time only. So this constructor overloading we can call it as an example for compile time polymorphism. Okay, this is about constructor overloading. Do you guys understand what is constructor overloading? Yeah, now I'll give to another topic which is method. Okay, in these all examples we have created a method. In this also we have created a method. In this also we created a method. In this class also we created a method. Now we have to know what is a method, what is the functionality of a method, why we use method. If you guys know what is method, just tell me. What is a method? What is the functionality of a method? What is the purpose of method? Okay, method is nothing but it is a block of code, okay, that perform a specific task. To perform a specific task we use a method. Okay, or in simple way we can tell, to perform a task we use a method. Okay, and method will return something. Okay, in all these examples I'm using void for the method. We use void as return type, it won't return anything unless see, if you use any other data types like int, string, string is not a data type, right? Like float, double, other than void, if we use anything as a data type we have to return that. If you use void we don't have to return anything. This point you have to remember. Okay, in method if you use void as return type we don't have to return any type. Other than that, if you use any other data types like int, float, double, long, short byte, if you use any other types, other data types, we have to return that. Okay, this one point you have to remember in method. And to call the method, okay, so to call the method first we have to create an object. See, So if to call this display method, first we have created that object and we are calling that method. Okay, to call the method, first object creation is compulsory. After creating an object, we can call those methods. Okay, these 2 points we have to remember. One is after creating an object, we can call those methods, and another method is another point is uh, uh, if we are using void as return type, we don't have to return anything other than that. If we are using any other data types, we have to return that. In the example I will just explain that. First, you have to know what is method. Okay, method is nothing but to perform a task we use those methods, that's it. And it will return something, and we can call methods by creating an object. After creating an object only we can call those methods. Okay, I'll give an example so that you can understand. And after that example I will explain what is the difference between class and a constructor. Okay, now here I am created a class called calculator, and I'm create one method. Okay, public add method I'm creating. In that I'm passing two arguments. Okay, in that in methods, arguments are optional. If you want, we can add. If you don't want, you can avoid that. Okay, here I'm passing to add, we want two operands, right? So I'm passing two arguments here, that's it. See here the data type I'm using int. Okay, if I'm using void, I don't have to return anything. See here I'm using int, right? So I have to return that. If you don't return, see, I'm giving some compile time error. See, it is giving add return statement or change return to void. Okay, if I do void, I don't want to return anything. Here I'm using int, right? So I have to return that. So return a plus b. I'm just returning. Here I'm passing some arguments, right? So I'm returning addition a plus b, that's it. Okay, this is how we can create a method. And I will, and in the main method I will call that. First I will create, as I told, first to call that method, an object creation is compulsory. So I will create an object for that. Calculator, some reference name equal to new keyword and calculator. Okay, for that class I'm created an object, and now using that reference name I'm calling that method, and I'm passing two arguments. One is 3, another one is 5. Okay, first I have created an object for that. Using that reference name I'm calling that method. And as I told, see, this add method is returning int, right? So I'm using that return type, and I'm storing that in one reference name, that's it. Okay, first here in the 12th line I've created an object for that, and using that reference name I'm calling that method, and I pass it two arguments. And as I told, add method is returning int, right? So I'm using that data type, and I'm storing that in result, that's it. And I will print that. And I will print that method. See here, the method is performing, and those value I'm storing this result, right? So I will run that result now. Okay, now if I run this, so I'm getting sum as 8. 3 plus 5, 8. Okay, this is how the method will work. Okay, this is used to, method is used to just to perform a task. We're using a method to perform a task, that's it. Here I'm created add method, I'm just performing addition, that's it. Okay, this is how we can create a method. And to call that method, first object creation is compulsory, and with that reference name I'm calling that method. Okay, and I'm storing that in the result, and I'm printing that result, that's it. Okay, this is about a method. Now what's the difference between constructor and method means, first difference is, see, constructor name has to be same as class name, right? But in the method, name can be anything. Okay, that's the one difference. In the constructor, constructor name has to be same as class name, but in the method it can be anything. Okay, that's the first difference. And second difference is, constructor don't have any return type. Okay, but method has return type. Either it is void or any other data type, but method has return type. Okay, this is the second difference. And what I told, constructor is used to create an object, and it is also used to initialize the data members. Okay, and method is used to just to perform a task. Okay, these are the three differences between a constructor and method. Okay, one is constructor name has to be same as class name, but method name can be anything. That is one difference. And second one is, constructor don't have return type, but method has return type, either it is void or any other data type. And constructor, its functionalities, it can be used to create an object, as well as it is used to initialize the data members. Where method functionalities, it is used to only to perform a task, we can use that method. Okay, this difference between constructor and method. Okay, this is about method. If you guys have any doubt, you can just ask me, or else we can wind up here. And even we have some more fundamentals, like method overloading is there, method overriding is there, then constructor chaining. And I will explain that static members and non-static members, how can we access in different class and same class, how can we access. Okay, uh, all these I will explain in the next class. Okay, if you have any doubt up to here, you can just ask me. Today we discussed about what is class, what is an object, how to create an object, then constructor. In and into two types of constructor, one is default constructor and parameterized constructor. Then constructor overloading we discussed, then method, and we discussed what is the difference between method and constructor. Okay, up to here, if you have any doubts, you can ask me, or else we can end here. Tomorrow I will explain other fundamentals. Guys, up to here, if you have any doubts, you can ask me.